I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Love you, brother. Be careful. I will. With all the things that I've seen, I ain't ever seen no demons, no ghosts, no magic. Till now.
You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone, where we love talking about movies and more. I'm your host, Mason Phillips, and today I have a movie review, finally, for the Ryan Coogler directed, Michael B. Jordan starring film, Sinners. I didn't have a theater reaction, but I finally got a chance to sit down and do a review for all of you. So before we get any further into this video, I ask you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified when new videos go live on this channel. If you guys do that, it always helps me out. I greatly appreciate it. We're really close to 500 subscribers on this channel. We are under 200 subscribers away from meeting that goal. So for all of you who love this channel, love this content, but haven't subscribed yet, I'd ask you guys to do that for me. I would really appreciate it. It would help me out a whole lot. Thank you all so much for being here today. Now let's talk about the plot. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Alright, so the movie Sinners. This is a movie that I didn't really see myself watching. I put it on my most anticipated movies to check out for the year 2025 simply because of the director and some of the interesting stuff I found in the trailers for this film. But I am not normally inclined to go see a horror film. I do like thrillers to an extent, but horror films are really not up my alley, especially vampire films. I don't even think I've checked out anything within the vampire genre, at least film related. So this was really my first foray, my first look into this world, and it is one of the biggest surprises that I think I've had at the movie theater in a very long time. A film that I thought would be okay, but I didn't think it would be this good. At this time, it is my favorite film from 2025. What Ryan Coogler did with this movie is so shocking. It's a vampire movie, but I'm going to start with this. You forget this is a vampire movie until about halfway through. For the first 45 minutes to an hour, it doesn't even hint that this is anything less than two guys coming from Chicago, coming back home to start their own business. Michael B. Jordan gets to play two characters here. He plays twin brothers Smoke and Stack, and they're very different from each other. Michael B. Jordan had great range in this because he was able to play two characters that I oftentimes forgot were played by the same actor. Yeah, they look like each other, but they felt very individual. They felt very unique to each other. It didn't feel like Michael B. Jordan was phoning in the performance of one character, favoring one over the other. He dived into both of these characters individually, uniquely, and got to do a lot of creative stuff through this film, stuff that I haven't seen from him before, and I love that. And it's kind of weird. This is the second film I watched this year where an actor had to play off of themselves, the first being Mickey 17 that starred Robert Pattinson. He got to act off of himself in that film. A similar case where the actor had great chemistry with themselves, and you get that here with Michael B. Jordan and Smoke and Stack. You feel the great chemistry between these characters. These are brothers, they have a long history with each other, and what Michael B. Jordan was able to do, truly, it just transcends, I think, any role that he's played in the past. And what Ryan Coogler did with this film, it is the most original film that Ryan Coogler has ever tackled, because he's always tackled something that has been based either on a previous IP or a real life event, and this is the most original thing that has ever come from Ryan Coogler. His first film was Fruitvale Station. It wasn't based on an IP, it was based on a real world event and a real person. And then he did Creed, which was, of course, out of the Rocky series. movies, a franchise that had been around for a while. Then he does Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Of course, that comes out of Marvel and is tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so a character that has already been in pop culture. But then he gets to do Sinners, and he gets to do something truly creative and truly original, and something that doesn't feel like a vampire film. Like I said, for the first hour of this film, it feels like we're diving into black culture, blues culture, the South, the Jim Crow era. Again, like I said, brothers that come out of the mobster Chicago Al Capone era, they come back home and you can see the relationships that they have. They're reconnecting with people from their past, and there's just a good movie here unto itself that's not a vampire movie. So if the vampires never came into the story, I would have been pleasantly surprised by this film on its own. And I think that's where the great storytelling and the great vision of Ryan Coogler comes from in this movie. Is it didn't have to be a horror film. He just chose to make it that way, and that doesn't detract from the film either. They're not competing tones, because you know kind of what's coming, but one could work without the other. The fact that both tones and both stories meld together so greatly is just incredible that he was able to craft it this way and make it work so cohesively. And Ryan Coogler is one of the greatest directors that has come out in the last 15-20 years. He has such a unique style unto himself. When you watch a movie, you can tell it's a Ryan Coogler project, not just because of the actors he uses, because he's also one of those directors that tends to use the same actors for a lot of his projects, but because he likes to work with these people. He used Michael B. Jordan in every movie that he's made. Michael B. Jordan has been in it. They're a great team. They work very well together. They like working with each other. But Ryan Coogler, he's one of the great directors that has come out of the last several years. He's become one of those directors where I get so excited to see his new project. After Sinners, I can't wait to see what he does next. That's the way I am with Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve or Steven Spielberg. I just can't wait to see what they've got next. And Ryan Coogler has become one of those directors for me. I can't wait to see what he's got next. But Sinners was just, it was crafted in a very different way. It's a different horror film. Like it's horror, but it doesn't feel horror at times. There are suspenseful moments. There were moments where I was like, I know what's coming. Like I have this information that the characters in the film don't have. It builds the tension that you know that certain characters are about to get into something pretty awful. You know that they're about to meet a pretty tragic end or a tragic fate, and something's not going to go their way. You just want to reach in and you want to say, no, don't go down that road, or don't go out there. I know what's out there. You don't need to go over there. You don't need to go over there. Just listen to me. But you can't do that. And so you're just sitting on the edge of your seat, just thinking, pleading. It's like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's where it works in the film's favor. The tension really, it's gripping. It kind of tortures the audience a little bit. Ryan Coogler was having fun with that. He's like, I'm going to play with the audience's emotions here. I'm going to entice something out of them. And he said that before. The goal of a film is to make somebody feel something. He also said that he wants to give somebody a full meal. And this movie is a full meal. Like, you get a lot of stuff out of this movie. Like I said, it's a different movie unto its own. And the first hour of the film is not even a vampire movie. You forget this is supposed to be a horror film. And then when it becomes a horror film, it doesn't become a horror film for the sake of like scares or the sake of making you jump out of your seat. It's got a story to tell about belonging to a community, about healing, about overcoming trauma, finding your place in the world, not falling into prejudice about another group. It's just got some very layered meanings through this film. And the fact that he was able to do that with a vampire film, really elevating the genre. This is one of the best reviewed horror films like ever. I truly agree with a lot of the consensus surrounding this film. It is probably the best film that has been released so far this year, and it's one of the best films in the last couple of years. This was a wonderful experience. And again, I'm not a horror guy. I don't normally go for films like this. And the fact that I am loving this film as much as I am not being a fan of the genre, that is where Ryan Coogler was able to do something incredible with this film. The fact that I am able to love a vampire horror film this much has truly surprised me and is just one of the best theater experiences I've had in a very long time. This was a great film. So I want to talk about some of the cast in this. So we'll talk about Haley Steinfeld first. She is one of these actresses who I love seeing her pop up in certain projects. Of course, she's in the MCU. She's great as Kate Bishop over in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's great as Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse films. Always a joy to watch, but she does something a little different in this film that she has not really done that I've seen from her in other roles. She has to be a little bit more vulnerable, I think, in this movie than I've seen from her before, and there are different elements to her, especially when her character takes a different turn through this film. It's almost like she's playing this role out in one aspect, and then there's there's a completely different character that she has to become as we get about halfway through the film. The layered depths to these actors. Michael B. Jordan does the same thing. Of course, I talked about him playing two different characters, and it's almost like one character that he plays is a lead and the other one is a supporting character. So he's somehow the lead and plays a great supporting role through this film. The depths that these actors get to go on. The villain vampire in this film, there's depths to him. There's just elements of creepiness and evil that lurks around this character, and you feel uncomfortable around the villain. I don't necessarily like him, but he's captivating to watch. And this film, it talks about, layers of temptation, and you're drawn into this character and you're like, okay, I can kind of see why somebody would be convinced to join this guy. You can also hear the alarm bells going off and like, you should run away, you should leave, because what this guy's offering isn't really life. It's all death and destruction around what he's offering the characters in this film. So he's truly the devil character in this movie. Delroy Lindo, he was great in this movie. I don't think I've really seen him in too many roles before. I do call myself a cinephile, but there's a lot of movies I've missed, but he was incredible in this film. No surprise, everybody's talked about how great he is in every film that he's ever been in, but he's so captivating. When he starts talking, you're just drawn in and you just stop thinking about anything else except what he's saying on screen, and he just has such a layered depth to him. And then we got this new guy that came in, an actor who plays Preacher Boy. He has never been in a film before. This is his first acting credit. This guy's going to do great. He's going to be in a lot of great films coming up. He captivates the screen, and he's like 21, 22 years old. His voice has so much gravitas in it. I'm thinking like James Earl Jones level voice coming out of this guy. This is an actor that he just popped up out of nowhere, it seems like, and I feel like he's going to be around for a long time. Ryan Coogler's probably going to use him in his next project. He's going to be sought after by a lot of other people making films in the coming years. He was great, a wonderful surprise in this movie. This film was just epic. It was scary, it was intense, it was captivating, it was intriguing. There are a lot of other words I could use for this film, but just the best film I've seen so far in 2025. And now, last note I want to leave on you in the good aspects of it. There is a mid-credit scene in this, and everybody keeps leaving. When I went and watched this movie, people kept leaving during the credits, and there's certain scenes that are playing throughout the credits, and you would think people will stick around at least to watch that until it goes complete to just black and the words on the screen. But no, there's a meaty, like 10-minute long, I feel like it was a 10-minute epilogue almost. Not just a mid-credit scene, but an epilogue, a scene that really bookends the whole film. And you really are missing a huge portion of the movie if you don't sit around for this scene. So when the credits start rolling, stay in your seat and watch the film come to its full conclusion. Now, there is also an end credit scene. That one's not as necessary to stick around for. It's still fun and it's enjoyable, but it's not necessarily needed. But that mid-credit scene is more than just a mid-credit scene. It's a true epilogue and a true bookend to the entire film. So stick around for that at least. And then if you do have to leave, you can, but please stick around for that scene. You're really missing out on a lot if you don't stick around for that last bit of the film. All right, what was mixed? I've heard this echoed by other reviewers, and I'm going to go ahead and echo the same sentiment. It's not an action film, but there are some things that we may have could have gotten at the beginning of the film to truly emphasize the horror and the vampire-ness. And like I said, the movie works greatly in the first 45 minutes to an hour where you kind of forget that it is a horror film, so it kind of works in the film's favor, but maybe to have that layer of horror just kind of, seasoned throughout that first hour, where we don't have to focus on that too heavily, but just kind of remind the audience why they're here and what this movie is really going to be about. Not that it detracts from anything when you get into that moments of horror as we start the second act of the film, but it would have been nice to maybe have peppered that through and seasoned that through the first hour a little bit. Another thing that was a little mixed for me was not the epilogue, but the ending of the film. When we finally hit sunrise again, there was stuff that was alluded to with some certain characters. I gotta be kind of vague here, I don't want to get to spoiler territory, but I feel like once we get past the vampire stuff a little bit and then we get back to some other stuff that was hinted at the beginning of the film, and there's a big showdown that happens, a huge shootout that goes down, but I feel like the movie didn't lose itself, but it did then become something else. It's like the first hour of the film was one thing, then we have the horror aspect, the vampire aspect, that's the main focus of the film, and then we go into this final thing. There's just this element of competing tones that I don't know if they necessarily work as congruently as I would have liked. I think the first hour, and then once we jump into the horror aspect, that all works because it's like build up into the big crescendo of the film. But then we get into this little last bit. I don't know where this part of the film would have worked, where it should have gone, if it should have been blended in with the vampire stuff, but I do feel like it's kind of a tag on and it's kind of just added on. It feels a little different from everything else we got in the film. Still enjoyable and still super entertaining, but it is a little different from what I expected out of everything else that we got out of this movie. Some stuff that doesn't work as congruently as I would have liked, but that's all I got in the mixed aspects. Let's go ahead and move on to what was bad about Sinners. Finally, what was bad about Sinners? The only thing I got that was bad was there's this one sequence, this one big musical sequence in the juke joint where Preacher Boy is going off, he's playing his guitar, he's starting to sing, and then there's these differing elements that come in, and it plays with time, and it plays with elements of ancestral music that comes in, and it feels a little out of place. I get what they were going for in this scene. I'm going to be vague, but if you've seen the movie, you kind of know what I'm talking about. You know, everything's going down, and you see these different players start to come in. It feels a little odd and kind of took me out of the movie. I mean, it was fine, and it works on its own, but when it's trying to fit into the rest of this film, it feels a little out of place. So I get what they were going for, but it did kind of take me out just a little bit. I really enjoyed this movie. The best movie I've seen this year. There are some things that don't work as congruently with each other, some things that don't necessarily blend super well together, but overall this was a wonderful experience. Like Ryan Coogler said, he gave us a full meal. This was a full, well done cinematic experience. I loved, for the most part, I think I loved about 98, 99% of this film. It was just a wonderful theatrical experience, and I truly, truly enjoyed this film. Michael B. Jordan just transcends any performance I think that he's ever given us before. There's something very unique in playing two different characters, but two characters that feel very unique and separate from each other, and at times he feels like he's playing a lead character and a supporting character, and they work so well off of each other, and it's all played by the same guy, and every actor in this film brings a different layer to their performances that I haven't necessarily seen from these actors before. Delroy Lindo just stands out amongst the crowd. He does an amazing job, and that was no surprise. He's one of the greatest actors of all time. And then the new actor we got that played Preacher Boy, he was just a standout in this film. Look for him in other projects down the line. This guy's got a very promising career ahead of him. What Ryan Coogler did with this film brought so many layers of depth to this. It's not just a horror film. It's a commentary on Black culture. It's a commentary on the Jim Crow era. It's a commentary on returning back to your roots. And there's just so many different things that are at play in this film. And it was just a wonderful, full cinematic experience. I truly, truly love this film. I'm going to give this movie a rating. It's got to be a 4.5 out of 5 or an A- on the letter scale. It has a few things that bring it back from a 5 out of 5, but was still a wonderful experience at the end of the day. I got a lot of great stuff out of this film, and it really surprised me. I didn't think I was going to like this movie as much as I have, and it is my favorite of the 2025 season so far. If you've had a chance to see Sinners, go down in the comment section and let me know what you thought of this film. I would love to hear from you. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified when new videos go live on this channel. When you guys do that, it always helps me out. I greatly appreciate it. Remember, I'm almost at 500 subscribers here on the channel, so if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you like the content that I bring you, go down and hit that subscribe button right now. I would truly appreciate it, and thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you all have an awesome and a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.